I think a couple of the things that have to happen, we need to find interoperability among blockchains. And I know Polkadot is attempting that. And so we're watching that very carefully because we need tokens, NFTs, to be able to jump from one blockchain to another, to participate in different games or auctions or what have you. So that there's that infrastructure that has to be built, and it is being built.
Cathie Wood has had a rough start to 2022, with headline after headline spelling bad news for innovation and growth. The sectors ARK Invest operates in, her stock price has seen new low after new low. However, in her most recent interview, Cathie gave an update on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto and explained why, although the markets act correlated in periods where investors go risk off, the inevitable bounce will be explosive. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where I will cover some of the latest on-chain Bitcoin data. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
We did a study for institutional investors around the correlations between and among the various asset classes, and it's up on our site. I think we did it in 2020. And at least back then, the correlations were extremely low with every asset class. The highest was 0.34 with real estate, believe it or not. Now, the one time you will see the Bitcoin, the crypto markets highly correlated to equity markets is when there's a serious risk off. For example, I believe it was late 2018, 19, early 19, hedge funds, they were very involved with crypto, and they were in very illiquid positions. So what was the most liquid of their positions? It was Bitcoin. So Bitcoin acted just like the stock market. But for the most part, other than during those times when funds are too leveraged over their skis in exposure to any one market, you will see those occasional, we call them correlation to one moments, but they're usually at extremes and they're usually near the lows.
You mentioned the metaverse earlier. Do you have a sense of how quickly the metaverse, perhaps you could explain your understanding of what the metaverse is, how quickly that is likely to come upon us? One of our attendees mentions that on the Q&A that South Korea is doing a particularly strong job in this area. What are they doing that we are not doing?
Yes, well, first of all, let's describe a little bit more when we talk about NFTs, especially non-fungible tokens. So I'll explain this a little bit like I did the monetary system. So first, private, global, again, rules-based property rights system. And you could say Bitcoin fits into that kind of system too, but we're separating. So property rights system, which is we know from the work of many economists, including Art Laffer, that property rights is the way to lift a country out of poverty. So this is a very noble concept. I think a couple of the things that have to happen, we need to find interoperability among blockchains. And I know Polkadot is attempting that. And so we're watching that very carefully because we need tokens, NFTs, to be able to jump from one blockchain to another, to participate in different games or auctions or what have you. So there's that infrastructure that has to be built, and it is being built. And as far as South Korea, we did discuss just the other day something. They have surpassed us. It might have been an NFT marketplace. I can't remember what it was, I always, whenever South Korea puts its mind to getting into a new technology, they are fearsome competitors. So it's slipping my mind how South Korea surpassed us. And I know that Axie Infinity, I believe the founders were South Korean, but the biggest uptake was in the Philippines and other countries. So I'm going to have to take a buy on this one. From our earliest days in speaking with regulators, both state and local, because we have 50 states, each has regulators, and the federal, we have, I think, 6 financial regulators. My first impression, listening to them describing what we were trying to understand and what they thought, was that no regulator wants to be blamed for preventing the US from the next big thing, the next internet. And I still think that's true, but I do think we need some regulation. There is a lot of fraud taking place. We need some protection. I will say the other thing, though, this movement towards higher thresholds for accredited investors is really rubbing new investors, the likes of whom are in our funds, the wrong way. You should have to prove perhaps your knowledge of the risks as opposed to have a certain income or asset threshold before you can be allowed to participate in certain markets. So I'm just throwing that out there as well, because that's another regulatory conundrum when it comes to innovation. Because in my book, the most accredited investors in our funds are these young people who really know our research and are passionate about following it and are using the technologies, as opposed to those with the higher income levels, which really don't know much. They're very index driven.
Could proper regulation increase confidence in cryptocurrency, maybe iron out some of the trading and blockchain infrastructure glitches, and perhaps attract even more investment into cryptocurrency? Or do you think it'll have a negative and dampening effect?
Well, it depends on the country. Some countries want to stamp it out, right? Other companies want to invite it. And that's been a good tension if you believe in free markets and not too much regulation. It's been a good tension for our own regulators. They see other countries, Singapore, Australia, UK, eager to bring, and UK especially after Brexit, eager to bring innovation into their countries. So it does put a bit of a brake on our regulators. I've seen it in other areas. The FAA, when we first started the company in 2014, said drones weren't going to be a consideration for years. So Amazon took its drones over to India and Australia and Hong Kong and so forth, and the FAA saw the light. I think the same thing is happening with crypto. We've gotten to know some of the regulators, and I'm very impressed at what they know and the technology DNA they are bringing into the discussion at the SEC. Gary Gensler at the SEC, having been, he'd been at MIT working, I think he was a professor in the blockchain space. He sees the power of the technology. And I think at the end of the day, he wants to regulate it, but regulate it in a way that it leads to great success for the United States in this new area of innovation.
Do you have a view on Jack Dorsey's concept for block organizing a distributed Bitcoin mining operation in every home?
Well, we worked with Square on that concept. There's a video, a YouTube video out there called The B Word, and it was a half day of talks. A lot of it was around environmental, because at the time Elon Musk had put Bitcoin onto his Tesla's balance sheet, but then said, whoops, I didn't realize the environmental ramifications. And so we worked closely with Square to do that video. The first one is Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, and I was with them, and Steve Lee, another person from Square, and we talked about the environment. And it came out of our research in collaboration with Square that, wait a minute, if you make Bitcoin mining a part of the utility infrastructure, you actually will accelerate the adoption of renewables faster than would otherwise be the case. Because in St. Petersburg, let's say here, you've got sunshine, you filled up the battery in your home, the excess power is just wasted. Why not have it go into Bitcoin mining, which could shore up the ecosystem and help fund solar and wind and other renewables? So we're definitely seeing eye to eye with Square on that one, or with Block.
So there's Cathie Wood with her latest on crypto, but does the on-chain data back her up that the rebound will be explosive? Well, out from on-chain analyst Willy Woo, we have an illustration on how, despite the move downwards ever since the all-time high in late 2021, long-term Bitcoin holders have only ever been stacking more Bitcoin since. As Willy says, this is the first time he's ever seen a large bearish move where on-chain lagged price action. This shows us that the supply side of Bitcoin is as strong as ever, yet it's the demand side that is lacking. As Cathie says, Bitcoin does get correlated with growth in tech in periods of risk off, but as soon as it ends, as it always does, Bitcoin and the wider crypto market has never been prepped for more explosive growth than ever before. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, have a great day.